All right, kia ora and welcome back to Ngahere Talks. Oh, I'm so excited about our kōrero we're about to have today. I have the beautiful, strong, independent, confident, amazing wāhine, Nyrene Crowley here with me tonight. What's up, Nye?
What's up?
It's so good to have you here.
Oh, it's so good to be here.
Nyrene and I have known each other for a few years now through mahi and other things that we do together. And I have a lot of respect for Nye and who she is as a person, but also what she's been able to achieve and the way that she spends her life. So thank you so much for coming and sharing a kōrero with me today, e hoa. It's a really choice to have you. But I will let you introduce yourself to our thousands and hundreds and thousands and millions of listeners.
Hundreds and thousands of people out there.
Yeah, go on, Gil.
Okay, kia ora, talo palava. My name is Nyrene Crowley. I am a professional MMA fighter.
That's right.
I am professional MMA fighter, and I've been fighting for about professionally for about 3.5 years. I've just gotten back in the country. I've been living over in Bali for 3 years. I am half Samoan, half Kiwi, with Irish descent, and that's me, basically, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, well, we're going to crack that nut right open and get right into it. But we were just saying off mic before, one of my favourite memories of Nyrene was when I left my role at Auckland Council, and at my farewell she belted out this beautiful, I didn't actually know she was such a good singer, but she belted out Pō Kari Kari Ana in the middle of the white Auckland Council offices. And honestly, you were just saying how you couldn't look me in the eye because otherwise you would cry, and I was holding back the tears as well. That's how beautiful it was and how meaningful it was to me, but also how blown away I was with how beautiful your voice was, girl.
Oh man, I remember from that is like my voice was shaking so hard because I just didn't anticipate all the emotion that was going to come as soon as I started singing. I was like, ah!
It's an emotional thing, eh? Yeah. Especially giving a koha like that to someone.
Yeah, and I was really, really upset when you left us, so but it's awesome to see what you've kind of created, man. This is incredible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been a labour of love, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
I know about that
so, man, I don't know where to even begin with you, but you're on the fight scene.
Yes.
What is it like getting punched in the face, kicked all over your body, but then also inflicting that on other people?
Yeah. It's a weird construct, actually. Like, a lot of people don't really get it, and they'll look at me and be like, I'll kind of tell them, like, what I do, and they're like, what? You're a fighter? And they kind of look me up and down, they're like, hey, and they can't really put two and two together.
You're not
scary. Yeah. And so people don't really always get it, like, for me, I just always remember, like, I had grown up as a Kiwi kid, like, playing a lot of sports, team sports, and almost every sport you could probably think of: tag, touch, rugby, netball, athletics, and so, but it was something about fighting that just got me this incredible rush, and I remember it vividly. From my first fight, it was a terrible thing, a terrible fight, terrible like video. I
remember this fight.
Oh God, it was horrible. But the one thing I remember about that day was just the rush that I got, and I knew from that moment it was like it was like this thing. I just had to keep doing it, because. And I've said this a couple of times, but for me, fighting and the whole process of the life that I live, it's beautiful, and people don't always get to see that side of it, but fighting is something that tests the complete human body in every kind of way that it exists today, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and it took me, like, over the years, this is what I've kind of come to realize, is that I love it for those reasons. I love it because it's absolutely challenged me in every single kind of part of my being, and I've grown a lot through the sport, and it's saved me in a lot of moments too. So
do you, when you like hit someone else and inflict pain on them, do you feel like powerful?
Yeah, there is this kind of like this sense of, I don't know how to describe.
You could kill someone, eh? You actually could. You have that much skill and power that you could,
I guess
if you
so.
wanted to.
If
not
I wanted
that you
to.
would.
Yeah. If I wanted
That's
to,
buzzy.
I guess so. Yeah. These are the kind of things that you learn, and it's crazy. Like, you learn these skills that that give you this incredible sense of power and dominance. But then there's this other side to it that you get brought up in an environment of a huge amount of respect and
that's cool.
And you learn how to control your mind in those moments. So you don't.
Because I was gonna say, you like Mr. Miyagi or Cobra Kai?
Good question.
I reckon you're Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I'd go with Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, awesome. Honestly, I like boxing as exercise, clearly. But the few times that I've been asked, would you be interested in training for like a corporate fight?
Yeah.
The thing that puts me off is actually I don't know that I could punch people.
Yeah, right.
That I could hit them.
I reckon you could.
You reckon?
Yeah. Yeah. You get to a point where you don't see it as you're hurting someone. You see it as like this kind of like chess match.
Rivalry.
Bit of a chess match. Yeah. And you kind of, everything that you've learned up until that point, you get to test. So it's like a challenge, you know. It's not really going in there and like brawling with someone and trying to hurt someone. It's like having to play this bit of a mind game and a bit of a chess game and absorbing all of your learnings and then you're in this moment where you've got the lights, the cameras, the action, the people, all of the adrenaline that comes with it, the nerves, and controlling all of that to face this person in front of you that's gone, you know, exactly the same route, to do the same training, you know.
What do you feel in your journey so far? So I want to rewind it and kind of understand your journey to becoming where you are right now. But what would you say so far has been your biggest achievement in the fighting world?
Being the first female Kiwi to perform on One Championship, Asia's biggest fight promotion. Yes. That was my biggest that was my biggest achievement to date, and the fight itself. I mean, I took the fight on 2 weeks' notice. That's the thing with fighting, and kind of why I left New Zealand is I knew that being so far away from opportunities would kind of be this barrier for me. So being in Asia, we got exposed to a lot more opportunities over there, and it was things like that where I got given the biggest opportunity of my life on 2 weeks' notice, and they flew me over, and it was just
so you've always got to be ready, eh?
Yeah, you do.
Just stay ready.
Yeah. So it's work for us. You know, it's our job.
Cool. So let's take us on a bit of a journey. Like, where did what was it like for you growing up, and where does this kind of the fact that you're a fighter now, where has that shown up, I guess, in your life journey?
Yeah. So growing up, like I said, like my parents, we've always been quite physically active. You know, my dad always pushed us into athletics early. Harriers, which is like long distance running.
Yeah. House Harriers.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we're always running and doing stuff. And I played netball for 8 years and gone into tag rugby and started representing nationally. And so I played a lot of sport, you know, and my parents have always been quite supportive, but I do remember one time, you know, when schools offer like those community classes, and they used to have the books where they would like send them out to houses and you'd see which classes they offer. And I saw karate one time when I was younger. I think I might have been like 14, 15. And I asked my dad, I was like, can I do this class? And he was straight away, no, never wanted me in it. Didn't want me doing any of that. So yeah, I kind of fell into fighting a little bit. Started off doing boot camps. I actually got invited to do like a boot camp thing, and I turned up and it was a whole bunch of fighters who were like using the boot camp as like a way to stay fit on Sundays, and so that's how I kind of got into it. They would like talk about fighting and stuff. And I was like,
Are you talking about cool. The Wild Stables?
I'm talking about the Wild Stables Sunday Hill sessions at Aotearoa Rugby Club. You know it. If you know that Sunday Hill session. Yeah, gosh, that was back in the day. And we were just, so that's how I fell into it. And then they kind of talked me into coming to the gym, which is at the back of a house. And that's where I learned how to fight. And, you know what's funny? Like, for some reason, I just know in my heart that I was always meant to be doing something like this. Yeah, I don't know. I just had this thing in me that was a little bit kind of, even when I used to play netball, like I'm not proud of it. Netball's a non-contact sport, right? But for some, like just somehow it became contact for me, you know? Like I just always had this like sense to like, and I think it was also because I was always the smallest. I was always small. I was always little. I was always being picked on.
So you had to have a bit of fight in you,
you have to, you know? My mum taught me this very young, that it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was always, and my dad used to say that a lot, and so I was always without even really realizing it, like almost trying to prove myself, you know, trying to prove myself that I can do this, I can do what those people are doing, and I can do it better than they can. So I always had this like little bit of, and also it was because I was incredibly competitive. Yeah. So
you have to have that, I reckon, to be at the level that you're at.
Oh yeah, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I bet. Are you competitive with yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
our biggest critics. Yeah. That's a journey in itself.
Are there any other fighters in your family?
Oh yeah. Funny you should ask that. Well, my sister is currently signed to WWE over in Orlando, Florida, which is United States' biggest wrestling organization, entertainment wrestling, and man, she's paving the way over there for what she does, and I'm so proud of her.
Does she love it?
She loves it.
Yeah,
she's been doing it longer than I've been.
Is it as much of a show as it looks like?
Yeah.
So it's part performance, part.
Yeah, but they put their bodies on the line too.
Yeah, totally.
But it's sport entertainment, and she's just doing so well. So she got massive opportunities quite early. So she was wrestling over in Australia. Then she got offered more contracts in Japan. Then she was living in Japan for a bit. Then she got to the States, and it took her a couple of times, but she got signed in the end, and she's doing awesome over there. Yeah, so her name is Dakota Kai. Her wrestling name is Dakota Kai.
Oh, kia ora, Dakota.
Kia ora,
Go
Dakota
hard, girl.
Kai. Yeah, my brother's a fighter too, just not an official one. He just beats me up a lot.
Keeps you humble, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go, I've got heaps of stuff I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
But I had this person that is a fighter herself. She's kind of coming through and knows heaps about you. When she heard that I was talking to you, she sent for a bunch of questions.
That's
so
awesome.
I thought we'd kind of roll through some
cool.
of these from a
Okay.
young up-and-coming female fighter to a professional female fighter.
Awesome.
So shout out to you, Tururai.
Hi, Tururai.
These
Thank
questions
you for sending these questions in.
are from her.
I wish you were here.
Me too, actually. I was a little bit like I said before, I was like, man, I don't know what kind of questions to ask someone that fights other than, is it sore and are you crazy? And yes, how much money do you make?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes and heaps.
No, and not much at all.
But I mean, so we've kind of talked through some of these. Have you done any other type of martial arts?
Yes, so I started with Muay Thai. So Muay Thai is a specific martial art. There's two types of kickboxing. There's normal kickboxing, and then there's Muay Thai, which is its origins
Thai?
are in Thailand.
Yeah.
Yep. So they started there. The difference between Muay Thai and kickboxing is you've got more weapons, so you can use your elbows and you can use your knees. I don't think you can use your knees in kickboxing. Oh no, you can. Sorry, my apologies. You can use elbows is the main difference. So yeah, I started with Muay Thai, and I was competing in Muay Thai on the amateur circuit here in New Zealand for a few years, and then I kind of ran out of opponents, and then I knew that the one way that I could get more fights is if I started to expand my knowledge with fighting and just start fighting across. So my coaches at the time recommended that I start learning the specifics of MMA, mixed martial arts, which is a combination of all martial art, you know. So it's Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff that people kind of specialize in, that they add their own flavor from. They pull from different kind of martial arts to bring it all into one package. So yeah, I started learning jiu-jitsu, wrestling, started tidying up my hands
all at the
through
same
boxing.
time?
Yeah, which was incredible. So I did most of my learning in the beginning stages at Auckland MMA in Pokiranga. And so I was there for a couple of years under Hamish and Van, and I loved it. Learning, in particular, and this is what I think is really incredible is Pacific Islanders and Māoris are naturally disposed to things like wrestling and that contact and that control, that physical dominance, you know. And so, it's quite popular that they get into things like boxing and kickboxing, but there's always been this weird kind of thing about wrestling, you know, because I think they're still kind of coming around to being in that environment where they see it as a competition instead of something that's weird, people are grabbing onto each other and stuff.
Hugging
But
on the
man,
floor.
there's so like when our genetic makeup is built for the sport, and it's a shame that it's not so much more popular in New Zealand, because I think that Kiwis would just dominate, they really, really would. It's that whole thing with why we're so good at rugby. They love that contact, they love that dominance where they can control, and so wrestling for me has been it's becoming one of my more favorite martial arts. I love it.
Because I was going to ask you that, like if it wasn't so much about finding the opponents and being able to sustain it, which one would you choose?
Wrestling would be up there. I do have love for Muay Thai because it was my first. And that's where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with my stand up. But wrestling is fun for me, and jiu-jitsu is fun for me. So I love it.
What's the difference between those two?
So wrestling is like stand up. So in the standing position, and you do things like takedowns. How to manipulate and get around and control people with like things like suplexes and start throwing people around and stuff. Whereas jiu-jitsu is more focused on the ground. So ground stuff like arm bars, chokes, leg locks, all the kind of submissions and I never
want to get on your bad side.
You're too kind for that.
This is a cool question. Like, when you started training, did you know that you were going to fight? Or did you know that was going to be a pathway for you?
Oh, man. It got me really, really excited. And this was the first time in my life where, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like something changed inside of me after that first fight. It was like, I kind of had this like epiphany where I was like, oh my God, like this is it. Like this is happiness in its purest form. It's like to get to that first fight that I won. I went through like, I think I trained for like 2 or 3 months for that first fight. And I went on this incredible emotional roller coaster where I was like crying.
I remember that. I remember talking to you about it, and like, and the food.
Beaten up. Oh my God! And food is like the biggest part of like what I struggled with it. I did. I struggled with it. As soon as someone tells you can't eat something, you're like,
I want all
or like,
of
don't
it.
push the red button, and all you're doing is like looking at the red button. Like. Man, food is, and it's obviously like one of the bigger parts of what we do. So over the years, it's gotten so much better, and there's a lot more science out now that is supporting like our performance and optimal performance and all that kind of stuff. But there was something about it. I think in that moment after that first fight, there was something about it, and I was just like, I just got to keep doing this.
Yeah,
this is what makes me happy. And I knew like when. I think it was further down the road where I had gotten a little bit, I'd been in the sport for a couple of years, and I'd kind of reached this like path where I could do what I was doing and stay in a good job and do what's making my parents happy and get money and follow the natural progression of things as you get told, how to do it. Or, I could just take a leap of faith and just follow this and do what makes me happy, and everything else will fall into place, and so like, that's kind of what happened. Is once I left New Zealand, it was like that I was all in. Once I made the decision to leave New Zealand, I was all in. It was like, that's it. I gotta go.
That's so cool. You actually just answered the next question by saying that, which was all about like what made you change careers, but it was the fact that you fell in love with it, right?
Yeah.
And you knew that was your pathway. That's so cool. How did you overcome the fear of fighting?
You know what? I think with fighting there will always be fear.
Yeah. Good.
I think
That's a cool answer.
But fear is not the fear. What is the saying?
It's not the destination, eh?
Yeah, it's someone was saying that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to overcome it. That's what courage is, Yeah. Because when you're courageous, there will always be fear there, but it's that step off the ledge. It's that walk down the ramp to the ring, that's what courage is. And I think every fight, whether fear presents itself in the form of nerves, in the form of a doubt, you know, like it'll always be there, you know. And so a lot of my training before that is to prepare myself to meet these, you know, and I'll
like
be
you
experiencing
said, the mental, emotional side, eh?
Yeah. And I'll be standing out the back, you know, I can hear the crowd, and that's when the nerves are coming. And I've gotten to a point now where I welcome the nerves. You know, I was like, oh, there they are. There they're hi. And I talk to them, hey, nerves, how's it going? You know, because it's all part of it. You know, you've got to kind of accept that it's always going to be there. Because if you try and push it away, it almost makes it worse. You're almost in this state of denial. Yeah. So, I've gotten to the point now.
And can you harness that adrenaline as well?
Of course, 100%. I think that's the point. And you kind of just like vibe. You start to vibe off it. And for me, like, in my most recent fight, I think that's where I felt the most growth because walking down that runway, I think that I was the most calm that I've ever felt. And I was, you kind of think, you put things into perspective, right? So walking down that ramp, I was kind of repeating to myself in my head, like, you're going to die one day, you know? And it's what you do here on earth is what's going to matter the most, you know? So go and make yourself proud, you know, but you're going to die one day. That's all I was repeating myself. You're going to end up dying one day. You are only human, you know, she is only human. Yeah. You kind of get to this point where you're building this other person up to be this like super saiyan, like superpowers in your mind. You step across the ring from her and you look at her. Yeah. And then I was looking at my opponent in my last fight. I could see her jaw trembling when we were standing like right across from each other. Yeah. I was like, man, she's scared. Well, she's not scared, but I think that she was just a little bit nervous.
Yeah, she's got nerves too.
Yeah, she's only human. And it's only in that moment when I was like, man, we are the same. You know, she's not this superhuman.
Because that takes some guts, man, to sit there and look someone in the face. Yeah. Stare them in the eyes and then take them on one-on-one. There's nothing else, but you two.
Yeah, she was incredible too. You know, she was young, so, and I think that was one of the bigger promotions that she's been fighting on. So, she's had a chance to fight on. So, it was nice of her to take the fight. I was really grateful.
Next question: how did you get scouted to fight in one championship?
I was just in the right place at the right time. Actually, no, I worked hard.
I was going to say, give yourself a bit more
I worked hard to get there. I worked hard to get there. I was fighting in a promotion underneath that's kind of semi-linked to one championship around Asia for a couple of years called One Warrior Series. And so a lot of us from the gym at Bali MMA, where I was based, we all kind of trialed for this One Warrior Series. A couple of us were fighting under this promotion. And the idea was that successful people from this promotion would get brought up. It was really rare that it happened, but the fact of the matter was you were under the eyes of the people that were on the big leagues, you know, like they would hear about your name, and as long as you fought well and you performed well and you carried yourself well and with a lot of respect, and it's huge over there, you know. Asia, they don't really like to promote people that they don't see with a good brand, you know, behind them. So branding yourself and marketing yourself as a fighter is incredibly important over there.
And you're doing well at that.
I'm learning. I've had to learn. Yeah. But a lot of it was self-taught, you know, like all the stuff, actually, like everything that I did. And it's crazy, man, because I get to a point in my life where I'm like, damn, I wish I did this earlier. I wish I started earlier. But in reality, like, and people have told me this too, is like you travel on your own journey, right? And you pick up skills, and I did 3 years of study doing a Bachelor of Communications, and then I worked at council for a few years. So I really feel like I was in the right place to be able to like learn the skills that actually supported what I was doing over there. I learned how to, you know, brand myself and market myself in a way that, you know, I was able to like sort of seek out sponsorships for myself. A lot of fighters don't know how to do that, so they get managers, you know, and then they have to pay the manager, you know. So I learned how to create brand like sponsorship proposals, you know, and I'll send it, you know. So it's, you have to, as a fighter, especially a female fighter, you know, because I think that there's a bit of a niche market there in terms of like representing brands, and I really feel like this is something that female fighters should tap into, because they could be getting a lot more than what they're getting, you know. So I'm lucky enough that I've been able to kind of like navigate this pathway. But it's an incredible journey.
So getting scouted is about working hard.
Yeah.
And then putting yourself in the right positions. Building a good solid brand.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, and did you say working hard? Like just
Yeah.
train? Yeah.
But say it again.
Yeah, working hard.
Well, you got to be ready for it,
Of
right?
course.
Physically, emotionally, mentally,
Yeah, yeah.
And then
And having the right people around you,
yeah, I was
you
going to
know?
say connections and networks.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
I was very lucky at that gym. Like, I had a group of coaches who, you know, for the most part, they really, really looked after me, you know, and they, and I was with the right people, so they had a good brand themselves, the gym. So, yeah. That's huge. Yeah, having the right people around you to represent you and support you in a way that, you feel confident going into these kinds of massive moments, you know.
'Cause even following your journey, just, you know, from afar and seeing you like flying all around Southeast Asia or wherever around Asia, couldn't really keep up. But look at Nye, she's just cruising around. And then like probably my favourite content of yours is just showing all the mean ass cheap eats all around Asia. It's like, there was one, I don't know, there was one you did, there was two of you that were hanging, I can't even remember where, but it was just like every day you were just munching. Everything cost like $1. I was like, I want to go there.
Yeah. It was cool. So I wish I was able to kind of document more, you know, like while I was over there. I really wish that I had like the equipment and stuff to be able to document and vlog. But
you just need a content creator following you around, eh?
Yeah, I know, right?
Getting that content, girl. Getting that content. Okay, what else have we got in here? This one's interesting. What's your perspective of the fight scene or fighting style in Aotearoa compared to the rest of the world?
Oh, we're so strong. We are so strong in that world stage.
I mean, if you just look at the most recent, the one that you were in recently, eh?
Yeah.
So many Kiwis.
Yes, and that promotion, King in the Ring, is one of the biggest promotions in New Zealand in terms of getting yourself out there for international promoters to see you. If you're a kick fighter, or kickboxer. But man, the standard here is so strong. But I think we're just kind of coming up in terms of international standard for like the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu stuff. But man, when Kiwis go overseas, they represent. We've just had JJ Wilson from New Zealand. He's been living over in the States for a while now, maybe 4 years, and he's on a massive promotion called Bellator. And he is incredible. He's a young Māori kid, started here. Man, he's got an incredible journey too. He was living at the gym for a long time.
Literally
living in the that was his whare. He would train every day, this young kid. And he has absolutely just created a mark for himself over there, and everyone is really, he's almost the champ in that division, and he's like black belt jiu-jitsu, which is the highest level of jiu-jitsu that you can get. But man, when Kiwis perform overseas, we do really well for ourselves, you know, like we throw down.
That's
There's
so
this level of
cool.
toughness that I think that is so incredible.
Mean. What's it like training at City Kickboxing among some of the top boxers, kickboxers and MMA fighters of Aotearoa?
Yeah, it's cool. It's so cool. Even for me,
you're included in that, so
yeah. But even then, like even I get
fangirl?
overwhelmed. Like I remember the first day that I walked in.
Sweat.
Yeah, man. Like because I'm in a gym with like Israel Adesanya, Brad Riddell, Kai Kara France.
Even I know those names.
Shane Young, you know, like walking
so
in there,
cool.
it's it's incredible. Just like I say, even for me, I've been fighting for professionally for 3.5 years, and I came home and it was really overwhelming for me to kind of like come out of quarantine and then have to approach a gym like that is so internationally renowned now.
Did you not already have connections in there?
I did, but I'd never kind of spent a lot of time around those guys because I for the most part before I left New Zealand I was at a different gym. So
true.
So walking in, man, they've just welcomed me with open arms, and I train alongside those guys. Like it's incredible to have that opportunity to just be around them. And I've
any like pulled any good moves on them?
Nah, well, those guys are a lot bigger, you know.
Still,
but nah, just they're all amazing, incredible guys for the level of or the standard that they fight on and the stages that they fight on. They're all super humble, amazing dudes, and I am just like soaking it all up being at that gym. Like even the female talent over there, like not a lot of people know about, there's a lot of strong women at that gym. You got Jenna Fabian, Baby Nansen, Wendy Talbot, just a whole bunch of like really talented girls that I'm, so lucky to have around me. Because we all level each other up, Iron sharpens iron. So
yeah,
an amazing
Do you
gym.
still go by the name Neutron Bomb?
God, I should be used to it by now, but I just...
I didn't even mean that as a dig. That was like a legitimate question. The N-bomb.
Like it's part of my identity because that's how I started, but I just...
but you're mature now,
kind of given to me,
Does it roll like that in MMA? Do people have those?
Some people do. I really
style
am
bender,
thinking
yeah.
Some people do, yeah. But usually you don't.
What do you wish your alias was? Then?
I don't know. It wouldn't be the first one that I would have come up with. You know what I mean? But fight names are interesting things because your coaches usually kind of give them to you.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a rite of passage. So I remember when in our first gym, Wild Stables, which isn't around anymore, but we were based in Aotearoa, and yeah, it was like this thing where you would have 3 fights, and then you could choose your walkout song music. That would be your walkout song. Before that, you didn't have any right to choose your walkout song. You just give whatever the DJ would give you. And then your coaches will give you, I think it's like 5 wins or something. Yeah, then the coaches come together and they give you a fight name. And it's like, yeah, so that was mine. So I've had it for a long time.
I still got my T-shirt. I still rock that tee.
Thank you so much.
I actually was supposed to wear it today. I forgot.
Oh, that's all right. It's okay. I need to do more. I need to print more because I really like that design. But yeah, Neutron Bomb's part of the brand. So yeah, it is.
Sorry for making you squirm so much on that one.
It's okay.
All right, let's go back to these questions here. What's your end goal? What's your big dream? I like that one.
Yeah, this is a great question. So for me, fighting, although it's something that I love, and when I left New Zealand, I had this really massive ambition and this goal, and I've always kind of felt like I want to dream big, or I want to have big goals, so it scares me, and when I left New Zealand, I told myself I wanted to be world champion, and along the way, like, things have kind of happened that have grown me in a way that, my goals have changed a little bit. I think with me for fighting, I just want to get to a point where I make myself proud, and I do make myself proud in moments, but there is just I'll know when I get to a point where I'm like, wow, like, look at what you've achieved. And for me, it's not really the accolades or the belts. Like, a lot of people kind of get the wrong impression, and they think that people get in it for the accolades and the bling and all that stuff. But for me, it's like this continuous journey of improvement. And so I'm so stoked that I've been able to have the opportunities that I've had. I've fought in the biggest promotion in Asia. I've fought against some of the top female athletes in the world that are still actively fighting. And so for me, my big goal is to use my fighting and to use what I know how to do, and actually look at avenues and how I can influence other people. And so for me, coming back, I want to work with women, and like, if we're looking at like my big goal, it's like, actually, how can I use fighting as a vehicle to kind of like create change and create, just an environment of empowerment for women, because that's my passion. Man, I've worked with so many women in the past, and when you can see them like light up with some of the things that you take them through using fighting, or using fighting and talking about, other things around fighting, their mental well-being and all that kind of stuff, like, you can see when people are changing, and like, that's beautiful for me. And like, I want to work with young women. I want to use fighting and martial arts as a vehicle to kind of like really create the sense of empowerment for women and build warriors all over Aotearoa.
Let's go. And you know what? I really want to dig into this. And as you're talking, I was like, shall we segue to this right now? But I think there's a couple more cool questions, and then we're going to swing back around.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's even cool just listening to you, the way that you talk about what you're actually passionate about here. And like, and you talk about fighting like it's like you love it as well.
Yeah.
But that was actually quite cool to watch.
Right.
How you just sparked out right there. And I'm super passionate about that same thing. So so that's all good. Who are some fighters that you look up to?
Oh, good question. Jason Suddy. So he's a coach at ETK, Elite Thai Kickboxing here in New Zealand. He was one of my kind of inspirations coming up when I was a novice fighter, and he helped me a lot just with little bits of knowledge as I was coming up. He's an incredible fighter. He paved a lot of the way for Kiwi fighters to come through on the big K1 circuits. So Jason Suddy, Ray Sefo is now based in the States. He has his own promotion called PFL, and he's just doing amazing things over there. Just really, Mark Hunt, really strong Pacific Māori fighters that did the damn thing.
Yeah.
And they came from Aotearoa, and so those are like, some of my top fighters. I've also got, female fighters like Tiffany Time Bomb and Seuss, who is like one of my really good friends now. I trained with her in Bali, and we became really, really good friends. And before that, she was like my idol.
Did you fight her?
No. Well, did I? We had like a fight night at Bali MMA one time, and she was in the other corner.
We fought over something else. No.
Yeah. But she's incredible, man. She's from the States. She's a multiple time glory world champion, and she's incredible. One of the fighters, also female fighters, Jingdong Zhang Jingnan, sorry, I've got to get it out. Zhang Jingnan, who is from China. She based herself in Bali MMA for a while. She's the one championship world champion strawweight holder. So just being around girls and like that just absolutely like blow my mind. Just the way that they train, the way they think, how they train, it's just super inspirational. And so those are a few of my top fighters.
Awesome. That's really cool. Even I'm getting inspired. And I barely even know these people. Okay. This one's pretty cool. Because you picked up martial arts a little bit later in life, what would your advice be to adults who have started training and want to make genuine careers out of fighting?
Man, just do what I did. Just jump in.
Could you be too old?
No, never.
Yeah.
Never, ever. I really resent when people kind of say that, because I'm like, man, people have this idea that there's like a limit on when you should be doing things in life, and that's like, man, the first thing that we should stop doing is like limiting ourselves. You know? So I started when I was like 24, 25, and that's late, but I've also been around other people that have started late too, and they were doing the same thing. If you are dedicated, if it makes you happy, if you have the support network around you and the time, and if your body's able to keep up, man, I just encourage people to do what makes them happy in life. Life's way too short. People are caught in moments doing things that become mundane. And I think that's where we're finding a lot of this this issue with our mental health kind of declining a lot, as people are kind of realizing that they're stuck in these things that they don't really know how to get out of, or they don't know what decisions to make to make them happy again. And I think that I just encourage anyone, if you find something that really sparks that light inside of you, and you'll know it, man, just keep doing it. Just keep on doing it. Yeah.
How does it actually work, to become professional and to make a living? How do you actually get paid?
So, you've got to obviously be doing quite well. So, and then leaving, for me, I knew that I was in a position where if I stayed in New Zealand, I wouldn't be able to live off what I did ever.
Yeah.
So I knew leaving New Zealand would be the way that I was going to end up having to go. So when I left New Zealand, I went to Thailand, and I was the idea is that you kind of for fighting in specifically, you basically have to put yourself in a gym or in an environment where they are linked to the kind of promotions, you've got to have a really clear idea of what you want. I knew what I wanted. I knew where I wanted to fight professionally. I wanted to fight professional MMA. And I knew that I had to be around gyms that could connect me to the promotions that would get me paid.
Yeah.
So when I left New Zealand, I already had connections with a gym in Thailand called Phuket Top Team. And I knew that if I based myself with them, they would be the ones that would kind of like communicate, because those are the ones that have the relationships with the promotions. The unfortunate thing was that when I got to Thailand, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And it really kind of, man, that was tough. That was really tough, because I had just uprooted my life. And I kind of got to a point where I was forcing myself to just do the thing, because I was like, I've left New Zealand. I've got to work. I'd sold everything. And I had nothing, moved, you know. And so, I was kind of like, for some reason, I just didn't click with the gym. Just the energy and the dynamics just really conflicted with my moral compass, and I really wasn't enjoying training anymore. It became this chore. Everything just got harder. Everything got harder, and we were lucky like that we actually just got approached somehow. The universe just kind of like linked us in, and we got connected to Bali. And, you know, we were in a position where I was over there with my partner at the time. We were just kind of in a position where we both were like, let's go. Yeah. You just have to respond. Yeah. You know, you have to respond. So you can't kind of hold on.
And that was the best thing, eh?
Yeah, it really was.
So you get paid for fighting promotions. That's what you say promotions, eh? It's like a fight night.
Yeah.
So you get more if you win and less if you lose, or?
So the idea is when you sign a contract, the promotion gives you, the promotions that I fought for, they give you a fight purse and then a win purse. So you basically, your win purse is basically like your fight purse. So you get paid by double, but you'll always get your fight purse regardless. Yeah. You know, so that's basically how it works.
Yeah. And then do you supplement with like sponsorships and stuff?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like any professional sport, you get money for playing and then you can make more through sponsorships, marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of work.
A lot of business.
It is, and that's the reality. Like, even before we were talking about some stuff, I was like, there's a whole business side to this.
Yeah, of course.
When we were talking about marketing and all of that, and building your brand, it's just like anything else.
Yeah.
You got to define, who are you? What's your message? Yeah. What are you trying to achieve? What have you got to offer? Yeah. And then put it out there. But you're doing a good job. I love your content. Good work, girl. All right, this one here, this is going to segue us back to the wāhine empowerment. But how do we grow and normalize martial arts for females in Aotearoa?
We make it accessible.
Let's go.
We make it accessible.
We
make it less intimidating for women to enter martial arts gyms.
Did you say you're starting up a gym?
I've got pads in my car. Let's go. So, I just think that the biggest barrier for women accessing this kind of thing is there's still that kind of like intimidation factor for women getting into. Yeah,
totally.
You know, it's intimidating for walking into a big gym that you don't really know anyone, but you really want to give it a go. You don't know what you're doing, and then there's all these other people that do know what they're doing.
Going on
and then there's violence, you know, and there's people yelling at you, and it's not inviting, you know. And so for me, a lot of like the PTs that I do at the moment are women that have come to me and they're like, hey, I just want to learn a little bit before I go into the gym. I'm like, cool, let's go, because it's the best way for women to kind of like get used to the technique and get kind of comfortable with how to do things. And then that kind of, I just like, okay, you're a free bird now, fly your wings, go into the main classes now. But the idea is that you have to kind of like present it to women differently, because women just see fighting as this blood and guts and gore still thing, still, and it's not like that at all. You know, there's a beautiful art to it, and that's why it is called martial arts, is because there's this kind of beautiful way that you learn how to piece things together.
Discipline,
and
it's how you craft.
Of course, yeah. And I definitely think that you have to have the right person kind of handling that relationship with people that are new to the sport. I just think that.
Do you have a blocked nose because you're sick or because it got punched so many times?
It's so it has been broken a couple of times. So I do
I've
have
been meaning
issues
to
with my
ask you
breathing.
that for ages.
Yeah. It is.
It's
a
classic
thing.
when you talk to fighters, eh?
Yeah. No, broken nose, so deviated septum. I'm always going to have issues with my breathing. So
yeah. Sounds cool. Sounds shakshy. But I was going to say another thing is potentially just more wāhine like you coming through, right?
Yeah, for sure.
More role models, more women paving the way that give a damn, that are going to invest in.
Yeah. And they're there, but they're just,
it's not enough.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
too much to do.
Because honestly, it's so good. Like I'm so passionate because
you kind of make me want to be a fighter.
Yeah, it's like honestly, like once women start doing this, when you can realize and understand the strength and the capability of your body and what it can do, and when you can feel someone like punch the pad hard and you can see it in their eyes, you're like, whoa, man! It unleashes this like savageness that I feel like women have deep inside that they hide. You know,
we do.
Yeah.
We're the lioness. We're the ones that catch the prey.
Yes. Yeah.
Hey.
But it's beautiful, man. And I think
the lion with the mane, he just kicks back and waits till it's already caught.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. We're the hunters.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, there's a beautiful strength for women in that, and I think that it just gives them this like beautiful confidence about them. So
yeah, that's so cool. So I want to talk about. I mean, obviously you're super passionate about women, but you shared recently some of your experiences, your physical experiences as a woman, and the impact that fighting has had on you. Particularly your blog you wrote about what it's done for your ikura, your menstruation.
Yes.
Do you want to share a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, of course. I wrote a blog not long ago, and I'm going to be honest, I did kind of hint to this. It took me a long time to post it because it's a super raw, vulnerable. It was the first time that I'd spoken about periods, and it kind of tied into the mental health of female fighters too, because it's all intertwined, you know. And then, in essence, there's a culture in fighting, and it's obviously dominated by men, you know. And so for a long time, there's a male dominance with fighting, and women are starting to really come up through the sport, but there's still so much that needs to be understood about how to optimize female performance by understanding how our bodies are so different to men. And there's a book out called Raw, written by Dr. Stacey Sims, and she's based here in New Zealand. She's originally from either the States or Canada, and she's a doctor, and she spoke about how women are not little men. We've got a completely different inner working system. We've got like an entire hormonal system going on that that people don't realize. It just we're so different, you know. And so the blog was kind of hinting at my cycle. It kind of was speaking about our cycle, because while I was overseas, I had spoken to almost all of the women and that were based, you know, over at Bali MMA from their respective countries, and we were all going through the same thing, you know, but no one knew what it was, you know. They were just like, so basically what happens, there's this thing called Amenorrhea, where your body goes into this state of prolonged stress from overtraining, under eating, you know, stresses outside of training and inside of training. But then there's also this aspect to it around our mental and emotional health. So basically all of these things combined, under eating, having to make weight for fights, like our bodies as women are not built for that, you know. And so it creates this incredible stress inside of our bodies that basically shuts our reproductive system down. And when that happens, it is the first sign that your body is in a prolonged state of stress, and you're no longer optimized with your performance. And so what basically happens is your reproductive system shuts down, because your body feels like it has to be ready for fight or flight all the time, because you're training and you're under eating and you're running and you've got all these stresses about having to make weight and doing things right with training and turning up to training at 5 a.m. in the morning. And so sleep also really important. So so it's been few years now, and I'm I'm in the process now where I'm understanding more about it, and I'm on a journey to get it back, because when I get it back, that's when I know that my body is working properly. And
then what is it? I mean, that's what it does to you physiologically. Yes. What does it do to you mentally and emotionally?
I spoke about this on the blog too, but with women, I think that obviously like the culture of the sport needs to be changed, and there are some just little things around it that can really negatively affect the way that women respond to fighting, you know, and into the culture of fighting. And so for me personally, I came up in the sport as a woman and being around a lot of men, and there were just a lot of comments around, in particular, I think the ones that really stuck with me always was like my weight. So weight is a huge part of like fighting for women, you know, and so just over the years, there were moments where I really felt that there was a huge, incredible amount of pressure on my weight, and so it got really. It got to the point where it became really unhealthy for me, because I was
it to
listening
keep it down or to increase it?
Yes, yeah, it was to keep it down, because I was always being reminded about, you know, oh, you have to make weight for fights, you have to weigh in. How much do you weigh now? And these are conversations that would happen on a daily basis. But all I see
on your Insta is you eating donuts.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, you know, is that people don't see. They see a very, and this is social media, man. Like,
totally,
you don't know what else
really going on.
You don't know what else I ate that day, you know, like, and so when you see me eating donuts, I may have starved myself for 2 days to do that video. You know what I mean? And no one knows that. And so, but it's all to kind of like create this sense of, you know, entertainment, or to make everyone seem like, make everyone see that everything's okay. And, you know, and so we were never really encouraged to talk about this kind of stuff in the gym ever. You're not allowed to do, because it's the end scene is complaining or making excuses. If someone said something that I didn't agree with, like, you know, they would say, and these are comments that I've had, right? So they would say, oh, you look like you had a couple really good meals over the weekend, you know, like, why are you wearing a baggy shirt? And I would wear baggy shirts when I would feel heavy, you know. How much you weigh right now? Like, and I'd tell them and be like, no, you don't. Don't go on the scales right now. But to them, it's like a jovial thing, you know. It's so much part of the culture that it's so normalized. But I think there just needs to be an understanding that women, I don't want to say just women, but me personally, it really deteriorated my health without me realizing until it was too late. And there were other things that kind of happened along the way that added to the mental and emotional stress. And I remember this was the moment that kind of like everything changed, where I was at training, and this was not long before I left Bali. I turned up to the gym, and for some reason I like started having a really heated discussion with one of my main trainers, and it kind of turned into an argument. And then he was like, what is going on? And then I just started yelling, and he was like, we're like, what is going on? And I was just like, burst into tears, because he was kind of like got to a point where he was arguing back with me, and then I got really emotional, and I burst into tears. He pulled me to the side, and he was like, what is the matter? And I'm like, man, coach, I'm not happy. And I said, as soon as I said those words, it was like I just sat in front of him and I just cried for like 3 minutes. Like, it felt like forever. And he just sat there and listened. He's like, man, like, what's going on? Like, and like all these things had kind of just overcome me. And so surrounded in an environment where we're not allowed to talk about it. There were specific feminine issues that, again, we weren't allowed to talk about. The coaches wouldn't understand if we did talk about it. And there was this huge pressure that I had put on myself, and from what I had been told that I remembered for months, you know, like people would say a comment about my weight or my size, and I would remember this for months, you know. And so all of this accumulated pressure just broke me.
Your body was shutting down,
for sure. And I got to a point where, you know, like I was trying to find things to deal with it privately, and I got into some really unhealthy ways of, you know, some unhealthy coping mechanisms where, you know, I started displaying kind of signs of bulimia, where I was purging outside of training when I knew no one was home, because of these comments and the way that I felt. And it wasn't, the thing is, none of these comments are malicious. These guys are just saying it as a joke,
culture,
you know. It's a joke, you know.
Yeah.
There is a huge, and that's the thing with fighting is you have to expect it. There is a huge focus on making weight. You know, people know that there is a huge focus on making weight, so it is a part of the sport. I'm not saying that it needs to change. You know, we don't need to. How do I say this? That you can't change that part about fighting, about the weight. You know, because in order to optimize your performance, you obviously need to get to a point where you are physically fit and you are ready to fight. But I think that the culture around some of the comments that get said in the gym just need to be a little bit more mindful around people that are a little bit sensitive to things like that. And I'm now at a point where I feel like I'm able to manage it a lot better. But yeah, it just
and it's an interesting thing, like the psychology behind it. Like you talk about optimization of your physical strength, but in pursuing that, you're not getting the optimal condition for your body. And so
as a female,
and so I don't know, like, why do you have to go down to that weight? Can't you go up to the next one?
It's not really that. It's just like for me, and I think we were talking about this a little bit before, is like food is huge for me. You know? Like,
so it's much more than just a weight class.
Exactly, and like if for me, like I've never really had to cut weight. You know, it's just if I can naturally train myself down, like I'll get to the weight. It's just people can say things, you know, that just hit me a little bit harder, and I think I'm just, you know, in moments that's just who I am. I'm just a sensitive kind of person, you know. And I know that I need to be a little bit more aware of, like, you know, that side, but yeah, just for me, I think the weight stuff, like, is me versus food, you know, and I'm mending the relationship that I have with food. It's it's an ongoing journey because it's not good. It hasn't been good. You know, because you'll get to a point where you'll eat something and then you'll feel bad about it. So, and then everything that you're thinking about food the whole day. You know, from when you wake up till when you go to sleep. Can I eat this? If I eat this, how much am I going to have to train to get it off? I really, really crave this, but I can't have it. So I'm going to go and, you know, go for like a 5K run just to make myself feel something, you know. Maybe if I run, it'll make the cravings go away. Or, you know, oh, this person said this thing, you know, maybe I shouldn't have had that lunch, you know. I'm going to go home and, you know, get rid of it, you know. So my relationship with food is getting better. But, it's sort of me is like, I guess, like, I'm just a sweet tooth and I love food. Everyone says I love food, so we all love food. Everyone does, you know, but I think with...
You're a genuine foodie, I reckon, though.
Yeah, I do reckon.
Yeah. And you know what, Nai, honestly, man, it does break my heart to hear what you're going through. I don't think there's anyone that can get out of life without mental health challenges, but just want to know that we love you, that I love you. And if there's ever anything that we can help out with, please just sing out. Get a little bit emotional. 100%. But you can do this. You can do this for sure.
Yeah, I really feel like coming home healed me in a lot of ways. Nice. And I missed home. Yeah.
It's nothing like it, eh?
Yeah.
Look at us having a cry cast.
I know, God. Why are you making this? I couldn't look at you when I was singing Pokare Kareana. I couldn't. And I think that's what added to the emotion of it all too. I was away from my friends and family.
Yeah.
And I was really struggling over there. And I think being home honestly has just healed me so much, and I'm just so happy.
Yeah.
Now.
Do you think that you would have these mental health challenges if you weren't fighting?
Yep, I just don't think that would have come to the surface. You know, I think that I would have just silently struggled without even really realizing it. And saying that though, I think being in an environment where you are like physically, mentally, emotionally being really tested and challenged almost every day, you know, like especially if you're in a fight camp, it does kind of put you on this emotional roller coaster where you are kind of dipping in peaks and troughs. Like, you experience, you know, the in terms of emotions, like as of living the life of a fighter, you experience like the spectrum, like the spectrum of your emotions. You experience more than the normal person in an entire lifetime. You experience great depression. You experience like an incredible sense of like high when you're doing really well and you win and you achieve goals in life. But then there's the other side too, where there's like, you know, the low really, really, and when it's low, it's like low, you know. And I was going through moments like that, like just when I was overseas and I wasn't doing so well with my fighting, and I had a couple fights where they didn't go my way, but I was still putting on incredible fights, but I just allowed myself after fights out, man, I would just go into this deep, dark depression, and it was like I didn't want to be around people because I felt like, or when they saw me, all they saw was like this loser. I didn't want to even leave the house because I felt so disappointed in myself that I felt like I was letting an entire nation down, you know, and it's not the case at all. But when you're in those moments, when those deep dark moments, you just become so overwhelmed with all of these like thoughts and like that's what I mean, is like the spectrum of emotions as a fighter, living as a fighter, especially if you're, you know, because it's not a glamorous life a lot of the time, you know, like a lot of those guys that were living in Bali, man, like the locals that would train with us, they would all live together, like with a couple of them all in these houses that were like attached to the gym, you know, and these were the local fighters. They, you know, we don't live this luxurious life that everyone kind of thinks it
might be.
Yeah.
Man, it sounds super intense.
Yeah.
But it's also the path of, I guess, when you think about high performance in any type of situation, whether it's sport or something physical or business or being a doctor, well, you know, whatever it is, it is challenging, and it forces you to look deep inside yourself, and whatever's in there is going to come to the surface. Yeah, for sure. So honestly, hats off to you. Big ups to you for choosing this journey and taking both the like what you love about it. You clearly love so much about it, but then also what comes with that, the price I guess that you have to pay.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I personally love having really open chats about mental health. One of the things that I hate the most in the world is suicide, and just I guess that loss of hope that comes over people's lives. So any opportunity, I think, to talk about that, and it's very real for athletes as well, eh? I feel like the highs and lows that you do have to go through do magnify that. Yeah. So yeah, you're amazing.
Thank you.
You're amazing. Yeah, I know.
Manawa was my mentor for a long time, so she knows she's amazing because she teach me.
It goes both ways. Mentor me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an awesome chat. I think we're going to wrap it up right there.
Cool.
But we'll always be a fan. All the best for what's coming up. What is coming up for you, actually?
Yeah, good question. So I would really like to look for an MMA fight. Unfortunately, it's hard in New Zealand because
is that us 1 out?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Someone go film us out the car park. Hey, someone go film us in the car park. Let's get famous on like what's it called when they like
TikTok?
Talk. Wow. No, what's it called?
You should do TikTok.
No,
you should.
No, God, no, no.
Come on, no.
I can't do TikTok.
I reckon you crack it on TikTok.
Honestly, it's one app that I'm like.
No, you don't have to do the dances.
Nah, bro, I can't do it.
Do tutorials. Teach the art of martial arts.
Do it. Yeah. Anyway. So for me, maybe looking now that the borders are open, hopefully getting some MMA fights over in Aussie.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
See what's up, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Staying ready.
All the best, girl. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
That was a roller coaster, man.
It was.
I'm so proud of you.
Love you.
See you later.